Hello, fellow peasants. So I just got done watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So what do I think about it? Well, first, what's the movie about? Basically, Indiana Jones is on a flight back from Asia, like over in Japan. He has like a brawl at some restaurant, some sort of nightclub. They're on this plane. They're trying to flee from the bad guys. Turns out they're on the bad guys' plane. And they sabotage the plane. They wreck. And they crash on this mountain. They take a life raft and jump out of the plane on this life raft and land on the mountain, go off some hills, end up in a river. And they end up in this village. And they get to talking to the locals that help them out, and basically the village leaders say, hey, look, the stone's missing. Someone came and stole the stone. Ever since then, our wells have dried up and shit's not looking good. We're starving. They took our children. And so Indiana Jones goes to this place called Bangkok Palace. He decides to help these people out. He goes to the palace with the girl he has from the nightclub and the little boy, and he goes up in there, and they start eating dinner with them. They start becoming like acquainted with the people who run this joint, and they're serving like chilled monkey brains. They're eating snakes. Like at one point, they cut the snake open and like. It's like a pregnant snake, and all these other snakes pop out of it. There's eyeballs in this soup. And Indiana Jones isn't fazed by this. He's not like freaked out by it, but the little boy and the lady that's with him are like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? And so overall, the plot of the movie is for him to return the stone to this village, so that all can be well. They get their kids back from the bad guys, and their land is no longer, infertile. They can grow things. Their water comes back, and the bad guy can quit like sacrificing people and whatever the hell is going on. This used to be my favorite Indiana Jones movie, but it isn't anymore. The last few times I've watched it, I will say I liked it less. I'm going to tell you what I like about the film, then I'm going to go into what I don't like about the film. What I like about the film, once again, is the cinematography, the score, the way the film looks. Let's stick with how the film looks first. The way the film looks is great. It's shot very well. You got Steven Spielberg's eye on this. The directing, it's Steven Spielberg's directing. So it looks good. It still looks rugged. It looks rough. It looks like Raiders of the Lost Ark still. It has that gritty, sweaty nastiness to it that it doesn't really have a sheen to it like the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull does, and I'm pretty sure the new film will have. It does a good job at having a rough texture to the film and just a gritty look. I do like some of the comedy in this. I like the comedy. I like the back and forth, the banter between Indiana Jones and the blonde lady in the film. When they're in their separate rooms, and they're yelling at each other back and forth, or, all that kind of, that relationship they have there is, it's fun. And I also like the sense of adventure up until the bedroom scene, and after that it starts to decline for me. I really like the getting on the plane. I like the having to escape the plane on the raft. I like meeting the villagers. I like the folklore behind the stone that was stolen from them, and how he needs to help them get it back. And he goes to the palace and he eats the dinner, and it's a little creepy, it's a little weird. I like I said, the banter between them when they're in their bedrooms, and she's like, come over to my room, and they're playing games with each other. That's all cool. And I like it to where, like, you know, they go into the secret passages, and like some of the humor, you know, where like where she's like, there's 2 dead people in here. It's like, there's going to be 2 dead people in here. You know, just that, like, that comedy, that Harrison Ford humor. And I know he didn't write the lines, but, you know, he pulls it off so well. And that's about all I like about the film. You know, watching this later in life and watching it, I've watched it a couple times. I watched this movie just maybe a month or so ago, but I wanted a fresh watch for this review. So I watched it again tonight. And, you know, what I really don't like about the film is its lack of locations, really. I mean, yes, they escape the plane. Yes, they show up to the village, and then they go to the palace. But they're in the palace like 50% of the film, which can be not bad, but it's just, I feel like certain scenes in this film are just dragged out again. I mean, the sacrifice scene, it just feels like they're on those mining carts forever. It feels like the sacrifice scene and the scene where they've got the girl going down into the fire pit and Harrison Ford is possessed and battling the bad guys, and it just all of, I mean, it gets boring. It's like, can we get the fuck out of this underground tunnel cavern lair thing? Like, can we get out of this? Because I'm really getting tired of this same scenario. Like, I feel like half the movie is all on one sound stage in one location. And I'm not just talking, it's not a big location. It's like half the movie literally takes place in something the size of like a giant church or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very small location that this whole movie takes place in, and it gets really boring to me. Finally they escape. They get out, and they're outside, and they're on the bridge, and Indy cuts the bridge, and the bad guy falls, you know, and the alligators fuck them up. They eat them, and so you finally get outside. You get something else to look at. You know what I mean? But it's just that it loses my interest as soon as they find the hidden passageway and they kind of observe from a distance what's going on down below, the human sacrifice, and once it gets a little past that, it loses my interest completely, just about, until the point they get outside and they're on the bridge, because it just goes on and on and on. Not much is happening at all. It's just boring. So yeah, so far I've watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. I reviewed that last week. So go check that out if you haven't seen that yet. And I just watched Temple of Doom. And I will say, I once again like it less the more I watch it. I used to really dig it, not sure why. But I used to, and I don't really anymore. So as of now, I would say Last Crusade is probably my favorite. But we'll see. I still have to finish watching all of these films and the new film, June 30th. I'm going opening day to go watch that. And so who knows? I'm not going to rule it out. What are the odds that the new Indiana Jones will be my favorite out of the 5? Probably slim to none, but I'm not going to rule it out. I'm going to do a ranking once I see all 5 films. As of now, Last Crusade is my favorite. And Raiders is probably Raiders is second. So that's about it, guys. I don't really have much else to say. If you guys like this movie and it's your favorite, I mean, that's fine. That's good for you. No hate here. Just letting you know how I feel about it. I'm not a giant Indiana Jones fan. And I said this in the last video. I like the films. I think they're really good for what they are. But I'm not a diehard. I'm not someone who's been waiting around on pins and needles, waiting for a new Indiana Jones, or it's not something I pop in 4 or 5 times a year like I do some other films of mine. So if I don't like it, and if I don't like an Indiana Jones movie, I wouldn't take it too seriously because I'm not that big of a fan. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm doing these reviews because the new film's coming out, and I know some of you guys on here are probably Indiana Jones fans or interested in this franchise, at least. So I figured I'd do a little series where I review them all and then review the new one. So that's about it, guys. Have a good one. Peace out, peasants. Bye-bye.